What's going on, winners? It's your boy Loso 2.0. And today we're talking about the 4 basic styles of leadership. Now, before we get started, please click that subscribe button below and subscribe to the Winners Win channel. And if you're listening to this on any type of podcast platform, leave a 5-star review below. But what are the 4 basic leadership styles? Okay, first, I'm going to think about this. I'm going to think about it in comparison to the leaders that I had in my sales career or my career at AT&T, right? Each leader I had and continue to have all have different styles and different ways that they do things, right? I had one leader who was literally cursing me out on a daily basis. They were cursing me out every single day. They even made that famous comment that I always talk about of what's the pride of being the tallest midget, and just straight up disrespectful. They actually put me on a meeting every single morning just to curse out, scream, and just act just bananas, right? I had another one that felt like a friend that you didn't want to let down. I had a leader that didn't really scream, didn't really curse. You didn't really get in trouble as long as you did your job. But then when you didn't do your job, it's like you felt like you were letting this person down. And when you let them down, obviously you didn't want to let them down. So you would try your very best to make them feel, just get your job done, to be honest with you. I had another leader who gave you the freedom that also felt like a friend, but they gave you the freedom of doing what they felt was necessary for the business. So they weren't bothering you. They weren't texting you every single day, telling you to do this, telling you to do that. They weren't calling you. You didn't have to really call them. You did what you did. You had questions. You would ask them. If you didn't do it, whatever you had to do, you got it done. And you just get the job done, regardless. And then I had another leader who let you walk all over them. They had other leaders talking bad about them. They had leaders walking over them, doing whatever it is that they wanted to do, saying whatever they wanted to say to them, and just all in general. So I had those 4 different types of leaders, right? And each one was different. Each one taught me something different. But they aren't in connection to the 4 different leadership styles. It just made me think. It just put myself in brainwashing. What type of leaders have you dealt with before? Okay. So the 4 types of leadership are autocratic, democratic, I'm going to butcher this, Laissez-faire, and paternalistic. These are the 4 basic types of leadership. There's obviously more styles. There's different ways people pronounce different things. There's different, even names probably for these different leadership styles. But these are the 4 basics. Excuse me. So, autocratic. Autocratic are leaders who make all of the decisions and give orders. Now, me personally, I'm thinking about a military sergeant when I think autocratic. My dad always used to say, you don't want to be a Marine. He said, I'm smart. Smart people usually are in the Air Force and all this stuff. But he said with a Marine, they call them jarheads. Why? Because all they do is follow orders. If your leader as a sergeant in Marines tells you to run through that wall, you run through that wall. You don't even ask them no question, ask why, nothing. They give you order, you do the order. That is an autocratic type of leadership style. They say, you obey. That's a little bit of a bar. They say, you obey. I love it. I love it. I love it. Democratic leadership is number 2, which democratic makes me think of Democrats because that's kind of what this one kind of thinks of, right? It considers the input of their subordinates. So what this means is this kind of like servitude type of leadership. I had a leader before who said he did servitude type of leadership. Whatever his team wanted, he always asked them what they do, what they wanted, what they needed, how he could help them, just to try to get their input. Makes you think of the U.S., but then he still made the final decision. So this makes you think of the U.S. government, right? We vote for our leader. We vote for who we want to be our president every year on voting day. And we vote, but our votes don't count in a way. They kind of are like a suggestion. But ultimately, the government, with whoever our governor is or whatever, makes the decision on who to be the president ultimately at the end. But we put our input in and think about it and stuff. So they take our input into consideration, but they do not have to move forward with our input that we give them for who our next U.S. president is. So that's why I think democratic leadership, I think of Democrat. But before I continue with this episode, I want you to, if you're interested in being inspired to recognize yourself as a leader in order to become a contributing member to your community, please join my winner circle. Right now, we are doing a deal. The first 10 people to join the leadership circle, winner circle, you are getting $10 a month for the first 10 people. If you are interested, please text me at 302-220-0886. Now I'm going to continue with the episode. So next is that Laissez-faire. Sounds fancy, French. But it says it trusts and relies on the employees, strictly on the employees. You have trust for them. You're not micromanaging them or anything like that. It reminds me of that leader that I was talking about, but it's also the idea of a big business. The owner of Starbucks, they make so much money in revenue. They're the biggest coffee company in the world, I believe. They are not, the CEO of the business isn't going to be doing the job of the president. They're not going to be doing the job of the manager, making sure the manager, district manager, make sure the managers are good. The directors, they're not doing that job. The whole reason is they hire these people because they trust these people to make the decisions. So in big businesses, a lot of times as you go up the ladder, when you're in a certain level, upper leadership, they use the laissez-faire type of leadership, which is the idea of they just kind of they let you rock. They let you do what you got to do. They make you make the decisions that you have to make in order to grow the business and make the business better because they pay you that money to do that. And they're in the hopes of understanding that you make this money. You're with the idea of this is the money that you're making too as well. You're running this business as if it's your own. That's the laissez-faire type of leadership. The next is the last basic one is the paternalistic leadership, which treats your team like a family. Which that's all family means is corporation, or corporation is your family. That's why I say kin a lot of times instead, but that's a whole nother thing. But the idea that you treat them like family, right? You treat them like your children. When they're doing good, we reward them. Not saying that your subordinates or children, not belittling them in any type of way. You don't belittle them at all, but you treat them like they're your family or children, right? If they do good, you reward them, right? Kids all the time, oh, I did good in school, so you maybe give them a toy or give them a present or something of that nature. But then when they're doing bad, you also create punishments for them, where that punishment is no video games for this long, no TV for this long. In my job, it may be in the form of a write-up, it may be in the form of, I've had managers cut people's hours. Listen, if you're not going to sell, you're not going to be here taking my money or messing with my cheese. So that is the idea, that you treat them like your family, but at the same time, you ride or die for them. You are there through thick and thin, no matter what goes on. Something happens, you're the first one fighting for that, fighting for your community, fighting for your subordinates to protect them. And vice versa too as well. So these are the 4 basic styles of leadership that must be adjusted depending on situations and even employees. One employee might not respond well to, like I said, I had a leader who let people walk all over them. In a democratic one, where they're getting the advice of the subordinate, they may just let the subordinate run the show. And if they do that, it's they don't respect you. Or laissez-faire, you're not going to do that with a sales rep in my position or in my career in industry. You're not going to let a sales rep just go and do whatever they want in the hopes of them just doing good. No, you have to micromanage them. Paternalistic might not work. Someone may not take. I had someone who they did good. I always gave them awards and everything. Then the one time I had to write them up for doing something that was bad and they already had a warning about it, they decided to quit. It's not going to work for everybody. And autocratic too as well. Autocratic too as well, where you make all the decisions. That's not going to fly all the time. People aren't going to want you do all the decisions and they have no input, or there may be some people where, like I said, me coming from my father's military background, they tell me to do something in my job, I'm probably not going to question them as much. I'm just going to be like, okay, I got you. With the trust, but some people may not trust that. So every situation is different from the last, and they must be tested and just tried out, and it has to be treated as such. So I want you to comment below, which style do you enjoy the most? Obviously, again, subscribe to this channel, YouTube channel, Winners Win. If you listen to this on any type of podcast platform, leave a 5-star review. Winners win, losers lose, and you pray for success like this. 2.0 out.